see where freedom is alive. His shots ring from the woods. 45. Life is good. She's whatever and probably should. There's comments here in Knoxville neighborhood. Life is good. So shooting down in. He probably wouldn't if he could. Life is good. He wouldn't if he could. Life is good.
Yes, Hickok 45, your internet shooting companion, your brainless internet shooting companion, coming to you from Tennessee. Yes, Tennessee, the home of Davy Crockett, of Charlie Daniels, Johnny Cash, all kinds of, Greg Allman, all kinds of cool people have lived here. Maybe we're not born here, but we're glad they were here. And I'm glad you're here. And finally, because I just talked for 10 minutes without you. Yeah, I really did. I really did. It wasn't recording, I discovered. After I made all these brilliant comments, I knew I would do that one day. I knew I would do it. Just fortunately, I didn't go for an hour. Oh, man. So, you may have to forgive me today. I might not have any fuel left after that stupidity. But glad to see you here. And I am back. I've got my Benelli Super 90. Yes. Yes, my Benelli Super 90, I don't get out often enough, do I? Quite a shotgun in so many ways, lightweight, and it's a Benelli, of course. Had that for a long time. And I have another pistol out here, if you're going to shoot. Well, I have now, but today on camera, I thought on camera just a few minutes ago was the first shots I took of it. Let's do that again, okay? I'll try it again. I wanted to shoot it a little more anyway, see how I like it. It's a SAR 9, or SAR 9. I don't know, it's a SAR 9. Let's just shoot right to your door. In Palestall, Talon grips. Yeah, we get all the help. Yeah, I don't know if we deserve it, but we get it, we appreciate it. Let's shoot a plate with what's left. Yeah. Well, you know, it seems to shoot. It shot the first time around when you were not here. Really, it was your all's fault. You know, you should have told me. Nobody spoke up and said, "Hey, Hickok, you're not recording. You're standing in the woods talking. You really are standing in the woods talking to a camera." You really are, because we're not there. You won't let us in. The door is closed. Nobody said a word. I mean, you're just sitting back enjoying that like a joke, right? Oh well, that's life when, well, life is more interesting with low IQ. It really is. It's a little more interesting. Every day's a new day. So yeah, that's a SAR 9, and I ran into, actually I never did get by their booth, but I ran into enough of those guys that were working the booth and with that company, and I got talking to them about guns and their guns and other guns. I just, I've never done one, so I'll check them out. And so inexpensive, and you know, feels like a, I don't know, nice grip, VP9 with a Glock Sly. I don't know. We'll have to shoot it. This is the first day I've seen it and fired it. I didn't even get to their booth to handle their firearms, which I meant to. Got waylaid and, you know, just didn't get there. I met a lot of you all there, and I may repeat myself. I don't know when I said things, but I did meet a lot of you all there at the Silencer Central booth. We were there for over an hour and saw a lot of you there. It was great. And then also at the, where else were we? Well, I was at the Federal booth for a while, and then also at SDI, the Sonoran Desert Institute, for over an hour. Met a lot of you there. So, and then walking around and, you know, everywhere on the street, hotel, restaurants. So it was great meeting so many of you, and appreciate the support. Somebody bought us lunch at the steakhouse there in the thing, one of you, and I don't know who that was, but I don't, you know, sneaked out, you know, so thank you. But it was great to meet everybody, and then to see all the guns, all the booths and various models. I made notes, and have plans to look at some of them just like this. So anyway, it was great, and it's a weird thing. The NRA looks like they're not going to change directions. They're kind of going to crank along with the same leadership. We find out this week. And we'll see how that goes, for them. I really hope this event, though, it sustains itself. Regardless. This event is wonderful, regardless who puts it on. Put it that way. Okay. If it dwindles and it's not the NRA in 5 years, it needs to be somebody or a group of somebody's. At least once a year, have all the manufacturers and everybody, accessory makers and everybody together for one big show. Hopefully centrally located. Move it around just like this one. So we'll see how that goes. The attendance wasn't as strong as it has been before COVID, but lots of reasons. I don't know which is the strongest of those reasons. If it's because of the Texas shooting or the demonstrators there, Memorial Day weekend, or people mad at the NRA. I don't know. But, there's a good crowd, big crowd, but it wasn't so thick that you couldn't walk through as it normally is on Saturday especially. So, but anyway, quite an event, and it was good to see somebody walked up and presented me a bowie knife. This is a Texan knives. He didn't make it, he bought it, but he said that Jim Bowie had presented Davy Crockett, when he went to Texas, a bowie knife as to make him an honorary Texan, and that's what this fellow said he was doing for me. Okay, so I'm officially a Texan or an honorary Texan, and I appreciate that. That's a pretty cool knife, red, white, and blue. See that? It's got the star on it, the Lone Star, and pretty neat knife. So yeah, John really likes that too. So to keep him from making a throwing knife out of it, right? But yeah, neat anyway. So appreciate that. Just all around a good trip. Long drive. We drove down, drove back. Fast drive. Or long drive. I don't know about fast. But a long time in the car. But nothing like driving to Las Vegas or the Pacific Ocean, as I did last spring, right? So I cover a lot of miles in my car. I really do. When I go out, I don't go out all that often, but 2 or 3 times a year, I go on a long road trip and put a lot of miles on it and cover a lot of ground, cover a lot of states. So, am I recording? Yes. Okay. Boy. So yeah, the Benelli out, I couldn't resist getting it out. I was going to throw a couple of slugs with it too. Is that all right? Yeah, I'm going to pop a couple in here, safety on. And I forgot my butt pad. The slugs remind me of that, but when I first put it up to my shoulder, I was reminded, I don't have my length I like. I don't have that extra 1/2 inch or 1 inch, and makes a big difference. Let's see if I know where to hold on something, like the gong. How about the turkey? Yeah, I'm not sure where I'm going. Woo! Nice old 12 gauge. Light. It's light. A really good defense. I don't think I ever have shot this one as well as some of my others. It's just the sighting, or the sight picture you have to use. It's all fixed sights. Never have quite shot it as well as some of my other shotguns, but I like it. Wouldn't matter a bit as a defensive shotgun. I'm talking, trying to shoot plates and stuff at 70 yards or something, or 80. But yeah, pretty neat. Bought that in 1989. Some of you were not even born. I've been shooting that shotgun since 1989. Yeah, man. This is the shotgun I took in 1990 to the North Carolina State USPSA match. They had a side match. I won, and with this shotgun, and with the money I won, I bought my first Spyderco knife, and I still have it, and it's all steel, and it's been sharpened so many times. The blade's about half gone, but I carried it for so many years. But that's what led me to Spyderco, this shotgun. It's funny, and ever since, I carry a Spyderco, right? The only difference I've made, really, changes. This is about the size of that one that I first won and picked out and shot. Is the Delica has a polymer handle. Yeah, man. So here I am, made it back. Gosh, all kinds of things I could talk about, but I don't know if I will. Well, let me weigh in. Since I didn't last week, I didn't really know about it or much about it. It just had happened or whatever because I was early last week. I had to hit the road. And again, it's not just because you're a gun owner, you want to remind people of this, I think, that you're not obligated, it's not mandatory for you to weigh in on some tragic event, the actions of a lunatic. How's that relate to you? There's nothing to do with you any more than if I drink a glass of wine every night at dinner or a couple of beers. The tens of thousands of people who are killed on the roads with drunk driving, the many, many thousands of lives that are ruined because of alcohol addiction. Not obligated just because I drink. It's not me. That's not me. I'm a responsible drinker. I'm a responsible gun owner. So it's not exactly like maybe the ideal comparison. The Second Amendment is a little different, ups the ante for any comparison, because other than the First Amendment, because it's a right. It's a right for a very good reason, just like the First Amendment. Nothing is perfect. You hear me say that all the time, don't you? Nothing is perfect. Everything is a little messy here and there. There's something that doesn't work very well with it, whatever it is. Your company, your family, your church, or whatever. And so I, like our founding fathers, apparently, thought that if anything, we're going to err on the side of freedom, guarantee that freedom and that liberty going forward, and that's what does it. Second Amendment protects the First. So don't let anybody railroad you and try to outthink you with their rhetoric and their talking points. So, but anyway, so horrible, as I said on Tucker, man, being a teacher for so many years and enjoying it. I guess there are people who have taught and they just counted the days so they could retire or get out of that or something. But that wasn't me. I really enjoyed the kid. I like kids. I mean, they're annoying at times, but then again, your own kids are just as annoying. I mean, it's all the same. But you just grow fond of them, you get to know them, and you see them differently when you know them. And that's what happens when you're teaching every day. You're interacting with those same kids, you get to know them, and they really are family. That's a cliche, but it's true. Cliches come from something based in truth, usually, right? It just, you can't even go there. You can't even go there when you try to imagine that kind of stuff happening. It's just, oh no. It's like Sandy Hook. It's like, no, you can't. When you start to think about it, at least with me, you start to think about the specifics or imagining, going through what happened, my brain kind of brings me back away from it. It just does. I don't want to even imagine it, So anyway, it doesn't get any worse than that, not much I can think of. But again, it's so sad that with I don't know what to say. It's so sad that for the last 10 years, let's say, or 15 or whatever, that with all the talk and all the rhetoric, we have not addressed the problem. We have not addressed the schools. You can argue the Second Amendment, all day long, but meanwhile, while you're doing that, let's do something concrete that we know will work, will help. Okay? You're trying to, like whack-a-mole or something. Even if you did get some more gun laws passed, right? Is what we need. Restrictions on this magazine or this type of gun. Whatever. You can't stop that. You can't stop that, and from happening. One of those is going to pop up, no matter what. But you can have an effect by hardening the schools and getting security in there in multiple numbers, whatever it takes. I don't know. A security officer trained. Maybe that is a teacher who's willing to go through that training, and there are a lot who are. Some wouldn't want to, and they shouldn't have to, of course. And whatever that number is, if it's one security officer, just like sky marshals or whatever it is, one per, I don't know, per 40 students or something in the building. There's some ratio, and also by square footage of the buildings and all that sort of thing, where no matter what happens, there is somebody just within steps, armed and trained. Okay, whether it's a teacher, an SRO, a special unit that's developed. Okay, whatever it might take. Volunteers, retired policemen, retired military people, all need to be trained. Just because you're a cop or in the military doesn't mean you're well trained in that sort of thing, or even with a handgun, right? And we all know a lot of police officers, some of them are serious about shooting and training and marksmanship and all that kind of thing, but a lot are not. They just the bare minimum. And if you're a police officer, you know better than anybody exactly what I'm talking about, right? Because I've been there, done that, or as a reserve deputy, and we all know that. That's not a mystery. But anyway, get people trained and in there and pay them. We print trillions of dollars, every week it seems like, and throw it somewhere, and yet there's not enough security in the schools. Things that would actually help, concrete things, you know what I mean by real solutions that would make a difference, like they've done in Israel, so that's just got to be done. It should have been done years ago. Wow, after Sandy Hook or Columbine, or the Florida shooting, Parkland, it's like I just knew it would happen. There'd be guards, there'd be police officers, whatever you want to call them, in every school in sufficient numbers. Okay, but no, the loony birds, they want to direct the conversation to guns. They don't want to use any of their ammunition on that. They want to, any of their dollars, they want to use this to further their erosion of the Second Amendment. That's what they want to do. It's a plan. We've heard them say that. Basically, they don't want to focus on hardening the schools just this week. The president said that they want to focus on gun control. Meanwhile, nothing will get done. Yep. So, I think in one of the videos, I don't know when it was, after Sandy Hook or after something, I actually said in a video, a vlog, shooting the breeze or something, that if next fall when school starts, if your school is not safe, ask your politicians why not. If it all of a sudden, well, here we are again, and I'll say it again. If I didn't, I think I did, that school's about out now, and come September or August, when school's back in session in your county, in your state, wherever you are, maybe it's your school, you're in school, or you're an adult, you have children in school, or you don't. Ask all your local representatives, your superintendent of the schools, your principals and everybody, your teachers, ask them, so what's been done? What's being done? Is it safe in your school? What if someone comes in there tomorrow? You got 3 months. 3 months. You can change the world in 3 months. So many things can be done. I would volunteer. I've said that many, many times. If you had a program where you bring in people who are trained or or fairly capable, common sense at least, or whatever, just to be a presence, an adult presence in the hall. I would volunteer half a day a week. Not any trouble, maybe a day. I don't just, you'd have no trouble getting retired people to do that. People that maybe they were not cops or military, like me, but they, they're a presence. They understand firearms, and give them some training, of course, too. But I guarantee you could pull enough people out just as volunteers would need any money, and just I do a half a day on a Thursday, or I cover every Thursday from 8 to 12. I cover the parking lot or something, and someone else is covering the cafeteria and the north hallway or whatever it would be, and in an unobtrusive sort of way. I don't think the students would mind, And you'd have to have background checks. You can't just have anybody in the building, and of course, and you never know. You have other issues, but those people would be easy to find. Parents of the students in that school, that have that time. Don't you imagine they would be there? Grandparents of students in that school. Don't you imagine they'd be happy to come by there? Maybe a parent sitting across the road in a car with a radio or cell phone, just watching the parking lot. Anybody looks odd moving through the parking lot, driving into, you get enough coverage. This doesn't have to happen. It can really be mitigated, maybe not totally prevented. And then with that kind of coverage, you don't have a soft target anymore, essentially, right? It's the gun-free zones, the soft targets that are at risk. And we all know that. So we got to do something about that. Can I shoot this thing again? Okay. All right. Too much talking this week probably, but that's okay. All right. My disclaimer, this is a Sunday video. Bullseye. All right. All right. All right. Sights seem to be right on. Good thing. Well, let's try the gong. I have no idea where to hold. There we go. I had to bring it up a little bit. There we go. Seems fine. I'll shoot some more, but yeah, I didn't bring my magazine loader over here. I've gotten spoiled. Yeah, pretty cool. Speaking of Tucker, man, many of you have commented on that. I was on one night this week. What night was it? Tuesday night, I guess, the first night back after, the break, the 3-day weekend. I had driven back from Houston, John and I, 15 hours in the car. It's really not a 15-hour drive, but the route we took, and we got a bunch of construction, and stopped and ate once, but a lot of time in the car. And I was, we drove all night, decided to get on back, and I hadn't done that before a long time. Just missed a night's sleep, basically. Got in bed the next night. And then I drove up into Kentucky. My mother-in-law had fallen, had an accident, and so I drove up there and was on the road again the next day. And I was going to do a turnaround trip anyway, but I got a call from Tucker, Carlson's producer. I wondered if I'd go on that night. Let's see. I'm 3 hours away. It's about noon. I don't know. You sure you want me? There's people that can speak to this much better than I can. I really kind of tried to talk them out of it, I guess. Well, no, it's like you, if you what Tucker's going to want, he's going to be talking about and everything. And it was a tough decision. I really almost, I had so many good reasons not to, because I needed to get to visit my grandmother. I was going to stay an hour or two. I was doing the math in my head real quick. I was going to be back by about 5, back to the Nashville area by about 5. And it gave me time to get into Nashville to the studio and everything, because I would be here. They don't do the Zoom thing. And I thought, wow, okay. So they said, yeah, sometimes people get bumped, but yeah, we'll confirm it, in a couple hours, and all that kind of, which they did, I was on the way back. But I'll tell you what, uh, I told Tucker, we've got almost 2 billion views. We've done all these videos, thousands of videos, all this airtime. I'm probably talking to a lot of people right now, in fact. And I generally don't get nervous. It's not, I don't think about, as I've said before, I don't think about the audience or how many millions of people might see this thing eventually or whatever it might be. But I tell you what, think about this one for a minute. Think about it. Whatever your area of expertise is or whatever you do, what if you got a call like that about something and you'd never done it before like that, like I have not. And if Tucker Carlson called you, they called you tomorrow and said, can you be on his show tonight for a few minutes and talk about something? Think about how different that is maybe than a lot of things you've done, even if you have done a lot of videos. For one thing, you're talking about things that are kind of nebulous anyway. It's not about like, how do you hold a gun? He calls me an expert. Yeah, not really. But, or how do you shoot a shot? That I could talk about pretty freely and give my opinions like I do now and all that kind of thing about firearms or whatever, my philosophy on ammunition or whatever it might be. But, when you get into the issues of the day like that, and then there's one thing that's a little different. Time constraint, it's just going to be 2, 3, 4 minutes. Okay, as you know, that's not my long suit, is it? I might get something said that is halfway sensible, maybe even effective at times, but I have to ramble into it. It takes me a while to get there, right? And so you get that factor. That's a lot different. I don't like to talk. I don't talk in sound bites, clever little sound bites. I'm not smart enough to put those little clever sound bites together like some people do, as you see on TV, right? So you got that. Then there's this other minor issue, this other really small issue. It's live, and it's on national TV. It's live. You can't take it back. You can't say, cut that out, would you please? Okay. So anyway, as I was driving back, I was saying, okay, what did I just agree to do? What did I just agree to? And I know some of you are thinking, well, what's the big deal? Hey, gosh, you talk all the time on camera, it's fine, and of course, after the fact, a lot of you were very nice and generous and said I did well and all that. But just think about that. Put yourself in that place. And you're driving back thinking, wow, it got to be 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock. So you jumped in the shower and I run to Nashville to the studio where they do that. And it got closer and closer. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, in 60 minutes, I'm going to be on one of the biggest national shows talking. And I don't have a script. I'm not like I'm prepared a poem and reading it or something. And see, who could I embarrass tonight by saying so? The firearms world. I don't represent the firearms world, but in a way we all do, for the public arena. I could embarrass my family. I could embarrass myself. I could look bad for Tucker, and all that, and them choosing to have me on. There's so many ways I could screw this up. But I didn't take a nap, so I couldn't lose sleep over it. But I wasn't like incredibly nervous or fretting over it, because it would have been so easy to get out of, because I needed to be in Kentucky to see my mother-in-law, which I did. The exact amount of time I had planned to be there. But anyway, if you saw that, I tell you, it's one of those deals that it's maybe not as hard as it looks, but it's also not as easy, because there's just, it's all so fast-paced, and they're bright lights. I recorded it. Before I left the house, I set to record. Tucker made sure it was set to record. I thought, oh boy, okay, I'll be back here in a couple hours watching this. Am I gonna want to cut my wrist, but I'm going to record it, you know. And I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. And you know, the funny thing too, some of my best friends, and I told them that afterward. I didn't let them know I was going to be on there, and because I just didn't. I was afraid to tell people. Really was. My wife's the only one that knew really, and I was afraid to tell them. You know, maybe if I just say something really dumb, it's just terrible. I'll you know, nobody will see it that I know. You know, I certainly wasn't going to beforehand say, hey, guess what? I'm going to be on Tucker tonight. You know, live. You know, no. I wasn't born yesterday. But anyway, it went okay, and you know, it was, you know, it's just different, and just to, I don't know, not enlighten you, but if you hadn't thought about it, how that would be, okay? You know, it doesn't matter how many videos you make. You may live on YouTube. You may present at your company every day to groups of people, and you may be in sales, and you do all that, or you teach, but I tell you what, man, when the camera, you know, for the last couple, 3 years, I've always thought, wow, that's impressive. They're doing that live, because Tucker Carlson and some of the others too, I guess, the show is actually live. You know, it's not pre-recorded even an hour before or 2 hours before, like a lot of good shows are. It is live. And I remember sitting there watching him do the show when he came down to do the special, and they showed a little piece of that, you know, before they brought me on the other night. But that was like a year and a half ago when he did that, and he was here on Friday night, and he did his show from that same studio, sat in that same chair, yeah. And John and I were there, so he took us out to dinner afterwards, and I was just kind of in awe because it was live, and he was juggling so many things, and he'd talk to us during commercials sometimes, and knowing that he's got 3 guests lined up, you know, bam, 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 right after that commercial break, and he's got questions for them, and he's got a script that he writes, but still, you know, he doesn't know what they're going to say exactly, and how he's going to react to that. And I've told John at that point, wow, how does he do that? I'd be so nervous, so anal, you know. I'd be looking over my notes, you know, and while that commercial's going on, you know, he'd be talking to somebody in New York or telling a joke or something, you know. I thought, wow, how you do that? So I was just so impressed with that live, and then so I was well aware of the kind of pressure that ought to be, at least if you're human. I don't think he's human, but it was very interesting. One of the hardest things I've ever done or thought about doing. Okay, I know people do it all the time, see the same talking heads going on the shows and everything, and of course they're used to that, but it was a bit nerve-wracking, that first one. If I did it again ever, it wouldn't be as nerve-wracking, but it's a different sort of thing, no doubt about it. Okay, I've yacked so much. Gosh, so much to talk about though. The NRA meeting, I'll link to that in the description of this video. John found it on somewhere, the whole show. I was his first guest after the monologue he does at the beginning of each show, but I'll link to that and put it in the description of this video. Okay, so some of you, I know, if you didn't see that, you might want to know now what I'm talking about. Okay, and I had several points I thought about when I was driving back that I would like to make that I didn't make. I just, it took too much time or whatever, and it went very quick. Some of my best points I didn't get made, I thought, but anyway, I survived it. Put it that way. I survived it. That was good. That was good. Okay, let's shoot a couple more slugs. All right. I'll put one in. Yep. You know what? That hog is not all that far away. It's pretty far. It should be safe, but I'm going to shoot him since he's a hog. Yeah, and I've got a slug, because that's what you'd want if you're shooting a hog. How about a 2-liter? Wow. How about the gong again? Wow, where'd that go? Not the whole high note? Wow. I need a rear sight on this thing. I just don't remember having to hold that high with a slug. I had to line up right on the top edge of it. I don't remember that. Surely the fact that I painted it doesn't make that much difference. I mean, I know it doesn't add enough height to it, a little paint, but the look of it, you know, can change the optics. Let's hit the propane tank. Knock that sucker over. Big old gun. Been shooting that a long time. Oh man. What else? Maybe I should get some. I've gone a long time, so let me get to some advice for young people before I forget. Gosh, because I thought I had some. What did I do? Yeah. Speaking of the crazy world, that's my advice this week to young people. Do whatever you can. Be planning to do whatever you can to reverse the crazy of this world, this country. You know, everything's have just flipped upside down. Even though I sort of see the pendulum swinging back maybe a little bit, it's up to you all. Yeah, it's up to you all to make sure in your generation and generations after you that you just get about changing things back closer to what they used to be, at least with some common sense, at least the best of what we used to have, you know. Just demand it. Demand it. You hear all these stories, and some of you might not be able to relate to it, to your elders, maybe your 30-year-olds, you know, 25-year-olds, 40, 50, 60, you know, people like me, whoever, about the good old days when people didn't get offended by this and that, or you could do this and that, and all that kind of thing. You know, see if you can get back to that. I mean, y'all, you're the future. We say that every commencement speech. You're the future of this country. Well, make that future have some common sense, okay? I'm more concerned about that than Martha becoming a famous scientist one day and finding out a way to get us all to Mars more easily or whatever, you know, that kind of thing. There's always going to be genius here and there that will do something astounding. That's always going to happen, okay? You can't suppress that very easily. That's going to happen. I'm actually more concerned, or invent a better electric car, you know, or something, whatever, Tesla, another Tesla. I'm more concerned just in general, all of you, you know, voting for some intelligent people with common sense and demanding just through your numbers to change the world back to a place where there's some common sense, where no one even uses the word woke. A new word for woke would be something that means, yeah, we've gotten over that or something. I mean, wow. I mean, a lot of this has been created by, you know, by social media, I think. It really has. We're all narcissists. Here I sit on a camera, right? But I think a lot of it is, you know, we're all worried about how many clicks we get, you know, or, you know, I mean, so much of the world, they're focused on their phone and their computer, and they're more concerned about how many people are liking their comment or what's trending, you know, that kind of stuff, you know, what the latest posting is, you know, on Instagram or something. What's the latest meme, you know, or creating the best meme. We're just so more occupied with that. Like, how about being occupied with, I don't know, more real things? How about doing some reading? Read a book, you know, and many of you do, of course. I'm not talking to everybody, but we need more people to pick up Shakespeare. You know, something a little deeper, okay? Read Emerson, read Thoreau, Dickinson, Emily Dickinson. Read something with some meaning and think about the world, some great novels, and maybe we could recreate this place, you know? Read the Constitution. How about that? Read the Constitution and the Bill of Rights about once a week for a year, and then just fascinate your friends with that. Hey, have you guys ever read the Constitution? This Bill of Rights? Wow, I've heard snippets of that before. But you know what they say in there? Can you believe that? You know, it doesn't seem to jive with what's going on, you know. But anyway, I think we're in many ways with the social media and everything and all the crazy TV shows where, as Kierkegaard said, we're tranquilized with the trivial, right? Tranquilized with the trivial. It occupies so much of our mind, and social media is like an atomic weapon in that regard. It really is, because try to watch myself, because I follow some people and I watch things and I go on there. I mainly use it to watch videos. I really do. Check the weather and my email and that kind of thing. But more so than posting on lots of different places and then reading that and see who posts and who posts after me and what they say or how they react. I'm not into that as much, but I can see how there'd be no end to that. If I post a comment on somebody's Instagram or on a YouTube video, I rarely ever get back to see it again, so I don't know. Not only do I not check to see who liked my post, did they still do that? I think it doesn't show, or I don't know. Or who reacted. I don't even go back often. Sometimes I do, but I don't. I'm not, obviously, I'm an old guy, so you're not surprised that I don't do that, maybe. So that's no great revelation maybe to you. But I'm suggesting maybe none of us needs to do as much of that as we do. Because there's no limit. I mean, you really are we're tranquilizing ourselves with the trivial. I could sit around and go to Twitter and Instagram and back to you all around and read comments for 5 hours on every imaginable video out there and every posting and meme, and then react to some of those comments about some funny thing on Instagram or whatever it might be all day long. So I think you have to discipline yourself, like, okay, how much time do I think is healthy for me to spend on my phone, period, but just looking at stuff like that, and because it's not usually very deep, is it? Yeah, not usually very deep. So I don't know. That's kind of my advice. Put your smart glasses on and try to weed out the idiocy in society and go about thinking about how maybe we could change things for the better, for the better, and ignore media and social media for the most part. Media wants clicks, just like social media wants clicks. Media wants eyeballs. That's how they get their revenue, right, from their advertisers. And social media, once you click on this and that, so it's going to be something dramatic, something that has to be, for you to click on it, right? There's no end to that. There's a dog chasing its tail. So try to develop some substance in your life, is my advice. If that means anything. Maybe I ain't done it enough, but I'm advising you to do it, okay? So anything else you were dying to know about? Let me shoot a shotgun again, okay? I don't know about, I'm going to need to maybe, I threatened to do that, see if I could get a ghost ring put on this thing. It's got an alloy receiver, and like a Mossberg. So I can still do that. I always think of it as compared with an 870 with a really nice ghost ring, I've got on that, that where it's an alloy, maybe it wouldn't stay or hold up, but I could have one put on there, and maybe that would help. Maybe even a different front sight for the next generation. Let's see, I've had it for quite a while, over 30 years, and I haven't done that. Maybe I've got plenty of shotguns I don't need to, but I don't know. It's just crazy that I had it out shooting at some yesterday, and I was having trouble hitting with slugs, and that's one reason I brought it out again today. And I'm still having some trouble hitting with slugs. So and having to hold much higher than I expected. I might take a couple more before I go. I don't know where I was going when I was shooting at the turkey. Maybe I'll try and knock that ram over. I forget about Mr. Ram over there. I brought him down here to plink at. Let's do that. By golly, I know I can hit that ram. He might take all 5 shots, but I'll hit him. All right. Speaking of slugs, did you enjoy that governor video this week? Slugfest. That's pretty lame one, calling that a slugfest, but I don't know, it'll be kind of fun for a change. So let's sling some bigger slugs than 410. All right, I'll try the ram. I'll hold the top of his back, see where it goes. A little higher. Oh, wow, yeah, I brought it up well over his back. Let me try that with the turkey. Hold a little higher. Okay, I don't know, either not high enough or something, but I guess I just won't take that one to a rifle match till I get that figured out. So, what else do you want to know? Nothing? Oh, well, you know, at the meeting, at the NRA meeting, it was great. I got to, maybe I'll post these on Facebook, pictures. There was who was that? It was an auction house, Watkins and something. I forget, I wasn't familiar with them. But the guy had Sam Houston's sword, or saber, Sam Houston's. He had, this won't mean as much to a lot of you, but he also had Colts that were carried by Heck Thomas, famous lawman, and Bill Tillman, you know. And he said he'd get him out if I wanted to get a picture with him. So I did, yeah, I'd love to. And as I read about all those people. And so I held both of those. Maybe I'll post that picture. I sent it to a buddy of mine who could appreciate it. Both those pistols, and then revolvers. And then a picture holding the saber of Sam Houston. So that was pretty neat. Got to talk to Rob Leatham. I'm always picking on Rob Leatham. The Springfield booth, had a nice conversation with him. The pictures, good to see him. What else? I got to talk to, speaking of Fox, Katie Pavlich, yeah. She was there with, who was it? The high-end 22, Volkortsen, Volkortsen. She is sponsored by them, so she was there, so I stopped by and talked to her briefly. And who else? I saw Tommy Lauren from Fox. I didn't talk to her. She had a long line trying to get to talk to her. What else? At the show that I found, there were some neat guns. Not a lot of new announcements, I guess, but one that was pretty nifty. It was the new. It's not on the market. Or in the stores yet. I don't think. The Colt has a 22 caliber revolver that is, I guess, competition for the Smith model 617. It's stainless, looks kind of like a little smaller Python sort of thing, and it's in 22. It's a 10-shot revolver. Pretty neat. I'm a sucker for those. Those high capacity 22 caliber revolvers. I just like, and this one holds 10 rounds. It's got the ribbed barrel, kind of like the Python. It doesn't look exactly like a scaled down Python, but it has that look about it with that ribbed barrel, and it's stainless, kind of polished, as I recall. So that's cool. If they ever become available, we'll get one of those and shoot it. So what else did I see? I didn't really make notes many on the guns, I guess. But again, that's the attraction. All the manufacturers, virtually all of them, are there. And they have their firearms out. I've told y'all many times, basically everything they make, and they have the firing pins out so that you can work them and snap them, cock them, And it's like the ideal gun shop visit or gun show visit in a lot of ways. Other than you can't buy any of them. You can buy a knife or something. I bought a tanker holster for a 45 1911. Made by El Paso Saddlery. So that's the only thing I bought. Mostly it's not a place to buy things, but there's a few vendors there that have things to sell. And John did a lot of comedy, like every night, 2 or 3 shows right there close to the convention center. Worked out great. Had good crowds. I went to 2 of them, and he was actually funny and was pretty good. Some of the gunnies came over and saw him. Probably were surprised that he actually is a comic, tells jokes, and those jokes are funny. So it was all good. And so it was a good trip, a lot of driving, but it was great. And let's see, well, anything else I guess I was dying to share with you. But I'm a little confused because, like I said, I recorded for like 10 minutes and you weren't here. And it's going to be a while before I forgive you all for that. Yeah, I'm sure some of you were snickering the whole time, laughing at me, knowing that I wasn't recording and that I would be mad when I discovered it. Yeah, pretending you're here. So that really was standing in the woods talking to the camera. You know, one could argue, even though right now I'm standing in the woods talking to the camera, that I'm really talking to you, right? But if the camera's not recording, it's not even turned on. Well, I mean, it was on, just hadn't hit the record button. So if it's not recording, yeah, there's a pretty good argument for my just standing in the woods talking to the camera and the tripod. Yeah, so yeah, crazy is as crazy does, I guess. But so anyway, I'll let you go, and I feel like I've talked for 3 hours because some of it you weren't here. But a great trip, and I hope you get a chance to shoot some. You know, summer's here, and ammo's out there. It's there's still some big gaps in certain calibers, chamberings, but I've been in a lot of gun shops and I've seen a lot of ammo. It's not cheap, but at least there's a little ammo. Boy, there for a while, there was no 9mm. No matter how badly you needed it or how badly you wanted to go shoot, right? And then there was some, but it was like mega bucks. And I don't know, now it looks like we're to a point where you can go find some 5.56 and some 9. But, and it's going to be expensive, but not crazy like it was for a while. And yeah, of course, yeah, that 9mm that'll blow a person's lung out, right? Speaking of comedy and stand-up comedians, wow, y'all saw that clip, I guess. It's about the 22s and the 9mm and all that. The sad thing is, some of the proposed bans, the things that our wonderful politicians want to ban, are based on that sort of logic and that sort of idiocy and those sorts of motivations, right? I guess, I don't know what the motivations are. Again, there are people that just hate guns. They just hate guns. They hate people who own them, and they want to get them banned. They ban everything. They've made that clear over the years. And so whenever there's any reason at all, they're just waiting. They've got the proposals written up. I mean, they are poised. They are poised at all times. And so they're just waiting for something that's going to bring in lots of emotion. And so they can just launch their cause again. That's just what happens. So you've got to stay politically active and try to keep the emotion out of it. Keep your common sense in it. There's nobody that likes kids more than I do and hates to see any person hurt more than I do. But you got to keep the emotion out of it. That's always going to happen. There's always going to be that logic. If it just saves one life, it's worth it. You can justify absolutely anything using that logic. Absolutely anything. So anyway, keep your wits about you and make sure you let your elected officials know that you're going to be voting. And of course, we're going to have an election coming up this fall, right? Big one. And then a couple of years later as well. But, this fall is going to be just a huge, huge event. And if we don't turn things around with the people that are trying to restrict our freedom and ban inanimate objects, I don't know what's ever going to be turned around. People should be more motivated right now than they ever have been. I think gun owners and everybody alike with common sense should be so determined and so motivated right now that we're just going to reverse so much of the stupidity. It's just going to happen. It had better. it had better. I'm not sure there's any hope if it doesn't happen now, because I don't know when we're going to be more motivated. You know, and when it's going to be more obvious that something needs to be done. Right. So enough politics. And again, I don't like to get into Democrat, Republican parties. I'm a libertarian, and I'm for freedom. Okay, individual liberty. I take the risks with freedom. That's me. I take the risks. There's risks with everything, big risk with totalitarianism, but I take the risk with freedom, and the negatives of it, the imperfections of that, and regardless of party, that's what I choose. You know. So anyway, I will talk to y'all later, and like I said, I'll link to that Tucker Carlson thing, and just don't keep your expectations low if you haven't seen it yet. But I'll put a link in, the description for that. And I'll see you out here next week. And guess what? One thing I will say, I think sometimes that I'm getting smarter the older I get, just a little bit. Yeah, I think it is. Maybe it's my new diet. I think I'm getting a little smarter the older I get. And so by next week, maybe I will have reached the level where I even remember to turn the camera on. Okay? Yeah, you never know. Come out and see. Life is good.